Hi, this is Rahul Dholakia and you're watching Bollywood Hungama. Keep watching.
Apparently, you got the idea for this movie in 2010-11 when some of your friends, I think in US, and you were discussing the entire Gujarat is primarily a dry state, and there was a time that it had a flourishing illicit liquor business happening. So, did that idea appeal to you, that something of this sort? And then you had three writers along with yourself.
Yeah, I think
Harit Mehta and
Harit Vashi, Ashish Vashi, and Neeraj Shukla.
Neeraj Shukla, right?
Yeah.
So, and then you guys collaborated after that.
Yeah. See, what happened is that once I got this, I said, okay, I called up Vashi and said that, do you know anybody who does research? Do you know anybody who knows anything about prohibition? Who's done research on it? He said, me and my buddy Harit have done it. So, and we're doing it for years. Okay. So then I went to Ahmedabad and then we started researching more, listening to stories, traveling all over Gujarat, meeting various type of people, trying to understand what the business is, and then we came up with a fictitious whole plan story, which by the end of it became so commercial, the script, that it became so big that we had to. What original plan was to do an indie film, which then eventually became so larger than life as far as the character is concerned, as far as the story is concerned. Eventually we needed a big house, a big actor to see through it. Sure. Because it became too big, and it was not a conscious decision to do it. It's just that it became like that, the way it was being written. So what started off as a small independent film, which would be funded by some liquor stores or liquor lobbies in America, became so big that the liquor lobbies couldn't afford it.
Okay, all right. Now, we'll come back to Raees shortly, but something which is quite startling about Rahul Dholakia is that when one looks at your filmography as well, you've not made any film which is like similar to the other one at all. Actually, you started with a totally different sort of film with Paresh Rawal and Jimmy Shegar in the beginning. Then you had Parzania, then you had Lamha on the entire, and that too shot in Kashmir, and then you're having Raees. You have an advertising background. You've studied filmmaking in New York. You've lived in New York. And you've made lots of documentaries. You've made lots of documentaries, I believe, in London as well, for Channel 4. The fact that you've lived abroad quite a long part of your life has led to you being like free-spirited and open-minded and having a different sort of approach towards making films than what the usual. Because in a way, from what I gather, is that you made films out of passion, not for money. Right. Because you have many other sources for making money.
I have no sources of making money.
You had like your advertising background.
Yeah, but that was a long time back, and there's no advertising happening right now.
Okay, so, all right. So, but from till Raees.
But money has never been the.
Yes, from what I gather. Does that help you in just saying what you want to say? Because especially Parzania, what you managed to say, is something that I think very few filmmakers or in India would have dared to do something like that in the first place.
See, I think staying away helps to an extent, because what happens over here is that we get influenced by people around us. And we get influenced by people, we start taking decisions which we think will be popular to the people, or which we think the audiences will like. So we get caught up in this whole circle where we tend to eventually compromise and make something which we think is the correct thing to do, which others will like. You start making films which not from your point of view, you want to start making films from other people's point of view. Right. कि यार ये गाना डालेंगे तो picture hit हो जाएगी, या ये करेंगे तो you start thinking in those terms. When you're away, and it's got nothing to do with films, I think it's got when anybody who has been working every day over here and all, you go out and you start seeing things in perspective. You start seeing things as a different person and start things more objectively rather than subjectively. So that helps you in making the decision, making the right decision, I think, or for you at that time. So for me, it always I mean, when I made Parzania, I'd finished Kehta Hai Dil Bar Bar. And I was in Los Angeles when this happened, incident, and I found out that my friend's son was missing. So at that point of time, I decided that why did I study films? Why did I spend so much time making documentaries on hate crimes against Asian Indians or whatever else it is, in making statements, if I'm not going to be able to tell this story? So then you become fearless if you're, in that sense. So when you're shooting with Nasir also or Sarika also, you're not scared, afraid to take decisions, because you want to tell what you want to tell.
Sure.
I think that should be the spirit of all films and all filmmakers.
Absolutely.
And we as ourselves, we should. And somewhere down the line, I've seen that when I came, then the next film, Lama, somewhere down the line, you start compromising on that. If had I made Lama the same way, maybe if I was abroad or maybe it was an independent film, made with my money or my friends' monies or whatever it is, but I had responsibility for it, I think it would have been a different film. When you start making films for producers who may not have the same passion or the same vision as you have, then you start compromising.
Sure.
And that makes a difference, I think, in films. I think Raees, to an extent, was always a larger than life film. Somewhere down the line, we got the right wavelength, matched the wavelength of the producers. Also were quite sensible and commercial, and sensitive also.
Sure.
Same thing with Shah Rukh. He's also in that space. He wants to do something like that. So it just worked out very well for us. Otherwise, it could have been a nightmare, because either I would have been frustrated or they would have been frustrated, or it may not have happened the way it happened. And each one brought in their talent and their experience to it. So somewhere down the line, I don't think another race can be made. Because each one is coming with, and the thing is that the best thing I think which worked for this film is that nobody knew. Shah Rukh and Ritesh and Farhan knew each other, but I didn't know either of them.
Sure.
It's not like they were friends, or it's not like that I was from this industry. And I've never been. I mean, I never called myself from the industry because I've hardly made any films. It just, we didn't know each other. We just knew of each other. So when we made the film, it became quite an interesting. I think that made it far more interesting, and that's why the film is what it is today.
No, absolutely.